You're listening to the Interconnect Hub podcast, powered by DataGryd. DataGryd is a premier data center provider located in the iconic 60 Hudson Street building. To learn more, visit www.datagryd.com. Enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Interconnect Hub. Your host today is Tom Brown, President and CEO of DataGryd, and with him is Tim Hoffman.
Hello, listeners. Tim Hoffman is co-founder and CTO of Lynk Lab and Principal at EdgeReach Consulting. Tim and I have had the good fortune of working together in previous lives. Quite a resume that Tim has, formerly CTO at Megaport, the global network lead at Twitter. Tim, thanks for joining today.
Tom, it's fantastic to be here. Thank you for having me.
So there's some exciting things that you've been up to in the last 6 or 9 months. If you could just let our audience know what you've been up to, that would be great.
Yeah, fantastic. So we've been really trying to solve the DWDM incumbency problem. And I guess as the expansion of the edge is taking shape, particularly with the advent of 5G and the applications that come with it, it's more and more important to have the ability to deliver high capacity to the edge. And really, the challenges we've seen and I've seen in my career all come down to DWDM operators innovating in speeds and feeds, but nothing else. So, the incumbency problem is very real. It's very hard to mix and match between vendors. And the monitoring is still a very manual thing with operators clicking buttons on Java interfaces rather than using APIs. So we're all about solving that. We've developed a set of products to solve that and make it super easy to monitor their optical networks.
Tim, I know you have a couple of things in the lab right now. For our audience, can you elaborate on when you think you'd be able to deploy this neat technology that you've developed?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually gone a little bit beyond the lab. We have a number of trials in place, and we've actually converted a few paying customers, which is exciting. We have our first product, which allows you to monitor multi-vendor DWDM systems out in production. And essentially, that just uses an optical light tap to map out what's happening on your DWDM system and give you all of that information via an API. So you no longer rely on one vendor not monitoring the other vendors, but instead you're able to see a bird's eye picture of your multi-vendor DWDM system. So that's a 1U appliance that can monitor 16 fiber directions out of your POP and give you that information in real time, including predictive fault analysis.
So you had mentioned two things, Tim. One is the edge, the other is 5G. We talk about that day in and day out, whether I'm at a conference or I'm on a panel. That's critically important, and we believe DataGryd is well positioned to solve the interbuilding connectivity issue. As you know, we've had a couple examples working together in previous lives where connectivity between two city pairs, Chicago, New York, for example, is far less expensive than that of the in-building connectivity. DataGryd has a direct connect product for 60 Hudson Street. Could you elaborate a little bit on what you're seeing in buildings like 60 Hudson Street and any other aggregation point out on the edge?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic what DataGryd is doing because it's a huge problem, right? And I think, even looking back as far as Twitter, and, that was a couple of years ago for me now, the real problem you ran into terminating circuits were those cross-connect fees. Often you were spending more on those cross-connects than you were on the intercity circuit, which, to my perspective, is kind of crazy, right? You spend, a small amount of money to get from Chicago to New York, then getting the last 100 meters shouldn't cost you more than that. So I think that, all of these solutions are so important to be able to solve for that. And particularly in New York City, DataGryd is really well positioned to solve this as we're seeing the exit from 111A. 60 Hudson is the only building that's got that carrier density in Manhattan. And really, DataGryd's solution there is solving the historic problem with 60 Hudson, where it was one of the most expensive buildings to get cross-connects in. So that's making a huge difference. And we've seen this with a number of our customers.
Tim, I appreciate that. And we're looking forward to partnering with you in any way or capacity that we can. Looking forward to your continued success of rolling out this awesome product. And I really appreciate you coming on today. Do you have any other closing comments?
I think the only closing comment I would make is just how important it's going to be to solve these problems at the edge, right? We're going to move from gigabits per radio to tens of gigabits per radio at the edge. And applications are only getting denser. I know that in my own house, I have, about 6 different Nest cameras, and I've got all these different things creating data, right? And getting these interconnect problems solved, making cross connects easy, and getting dense capacity down to the cell tower and the edge location is going to be critical for the success of the internet.
Tim, you really bring up a good point from density perspective. And one of the things, again, that I continually share with my audience is DataGryd's power capacity and density. We have an unprecedented 15 megawatts of power, and we really want to address at the edge the power consumption that these new technologies will need. So we're well positioned, and as I said, we're looking forward to your ongoing success. Tim, again, thanks very much for joining the Interconnect Hub today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to the Interconnect Hub podcast powered by DataGryd. DataGryd is a premier data center provider located in the iconic 60 Hudson Street building. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you consume your audio. To learn more about DataGryd and the services they provide, visit www.datagryd.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.